All right, we're about to vacate the beach house for a little while and travel from Mississippi over to Florida. Going to pick up one of my buddies, and then we're going to go to Morrison Springs, and then we're probably going to go down to Navarre Beach where there's a snorkeling reef and scuba dive that. We have lots of gear. All right, we're at Morrison Springs, ready to do a little diving. Water's way up. Looks like it might be a little on the murky side too.
New girls can hit too, man.
It was like, they were doing good at the beginning, but towards the end, they started hitting.
Man,
So from this point, there's really not much in the way of audio since the vast majority of the video is all underwater. So our deepest dive is scheduled first, and that's going to be my sister and I. We're going to swim out to the opening of Morrison Springs, and we're going to drop down and go down into the lower cavern. It's somewhere around 70 and drops down around 90 as far as I've been down into it. But that's going to be our first dive. This cypress tree is always a good spot to stage before we drop down into the cavern system. It's a good spot to relax for a little bit, get our head in the game, and check our gauges. It didn't take long being down in the cavern before we found what we were looking for, the freshwater eel, and this one is a big one. These freshwater eel like to hide out in the cavern system during the day. At nighttime, they come out and go on the hunt. Having hit our goal of finding freshwater eels in the cavern system, it's time to exit the cavern, go up to the shallows, and do a safety stop before proceeding to the surface. As Cindy turned away from me, I noticed her dive light was on inside of her BCD. Now I just had to figure out a way to translate that to her so she'd know what the problem was. Once that dive was complete, we got our daughters out in the water and got them all geared up with their scuba gear and prepared for the next dive.
Let the water fill in there so it gets your body and warms up.
So this will be the girls' first cavern dive. It's in a little shallower water, about 40 foot, and just underneath the cypress tree that we always set on. The cavern system only goes back about 41 feet, but they can still get a good idea of what it's like to go back into a cavern. That's the goal right there, just underneath the cypress tree. I know Alexis is feeling a little nervous, so I'm letting them set for a little while longer on the cypress tree, just so they can kind of get their bearings, relax before we go into the cavern. This is a perfect cavern for new divers. It doesn't go very far back, it's straight, and the ceiling is covered with oxygen, which gives everything a mirrored appearance when you look up. The mirrored reflection is always something fun to play with. Alexis is getting chilled, and the visibility outside the spring is pretty poor, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this dive up.
Something fell on my pocket?
Here the girls are explaining to me how they both saw something leave my scuba gear and sink to the bottom. Unfortunately, they didn't tell me about it while we were down there, and neither of them went and retrieved the part. Turns out it was part of my regulator set. It was a retention ring, and when it left, some other parts of my regulator came off and also sunk to the bottom.
But I mean, there's not a lot to see in the cave. I was surprised to see a fish in there. I didn't even see two. I saw one outside in the hole down there, and then I saw one in the cave.
After getting the girls over to the shore, I decided I'd go back out with my metal detector and do a little searching underneath the swim platforms. I didn't search this area nearly as long as I wanted to, mostly because we had yet another dive site we wanted to go to before it got too late in the day. All right, we had a good dive. Girls did good diving down to the cave. How'd you enjoy that, Alexis?
It was fun.
Awesome.
Glad I did it.
There's Tori. She's coming back.
Trying to talk myself into it. I don't know what I grabbed, but something cut up my hands.
Oh, really? Huh.
I got cuts all over them.
Man. So anyways, we're done diving and we're starving. So we're going to go find something to eat. And then see if we can find us a dive shop where we can get these tanks filled back up. A couple of them need some certification, and I have a regulator that went a little haywire on me. So I got to get that figured out. So anyways, we're about ready to go.